Yeah, I just want to thank everyone who was involved this past week with College Game Day. It was a great event for our university, for the town of Boone, everyone in our whole county. Again, it's just a lot to be thankful for, and there's a lot of work goes involved in that situation with College Game Day, and what a buzz we have about our university on a national stage. But very fortunate to get out here with a win versus a very good Troy team. We did a lot of good things on all three phases. Offense, we were 8 for 16 on third down. We were 3 for 4 on fourth down. And I thought our defense got us a turnover. We scored on that turnover immediately. But we have a lot to improve on. Again, we have a great team in James Madison coming here this weekend, one that I know is going to be a tough game. I have a lot of respect for Coach Signetti and what he does in that program. And if you look at their stats, I mean, they're giving up 10 yards rushing per game, and they're giving up 7 to 10 points a game. So we have our work cut out for us, but we're glad we're at home. It's going to be a great atmosphere again, another sold-out crowd here at the Rock, and we're looking forward to it.
Sean, you mentioned after the game, and you just mentioned it again now, a lot of things to look at, a lot of things to work on. After you guys had a chance to go back and kind of study the film, go through the three phases, where are the areas that you're really looking to tighten up this week?
Well, it's the details in all three phases. If you look at offense, we had a chance to run the ball probably more than we should have, but we didn't execute very well up front in some key situations. Our receivers, we have to do a better job of taking one more step before you break on your route. Our tight ends need to finish their blocks. Our running backs make sure they hit the holes. Chase got to make better decision making on some situations. On defense, I mean, we have to play with cleaner eyes. And when I see that, we're not reading our keys. In some cases, give up big runs, and we have to tackle better in the open field. Special teams, Michael Hughes has got to be more consistent. I mean, sometimes you can get lackadaisical on the kickoff team, knowing that he's been kicking in the end zone on a consistent basis, and you don't play with speed. And those were addressed yesterday. And again, in order for us to win, and it's hard to win in college football, but in order for us to win, we have to be more critical of ourselves as coaches, as players, and look ourselves in the mirror. And again, our players were excited that they got the win, Miracle on the Mountain Part 2, but again, we have a lot of work to get cleaned up in a hurry.
You've had 3 incredible games. I mean, I think you could go 10 seasons and not have 3 games like you've had in 3 weeks, frankly. When it comes to kind of refilling everybody's tank, the staff, the players, everybody around the program, and getting, back to that energy level that you need week in and week out, it's different than physical things you've got to fix. It's difficult. It's different than fixing X's and O's sometimes. That's kind of an individual thing. In your experience, how do you go about making sure that energy level's where you want it?
Well, I think we, as a staff, as a program, we have to, kind of reset and go back to, for me personally, I have to get off the phone and get some rest. But, you mentioned the first 3 games. And if you go back and look at situational football, I think we've used every situation that we've ever practiced. And I've never done that in 22 years of coaching. Talking about from 2-minute situations to delayed knee at Texas A&M to Hail Mary this game, and clock management. I mean, you can go through a whole list of things we do in the off season through fall camp of things, the checklist you have to do, and we've hit them all this year. But again, I think we have a very mature football team, and our team has pushed the reset button. And we can make all kinds of excuses of why we didn't play well. I didn't think that it was a effort issue. I just think we have another execution issue. But we played well enough to win, have a chance to win at the very end.
Can you give us an update on where things stand health-wise? Obviously, Cam Peoples comes out of the game late. Christian Wells was helped off in the second half, and then you had some injuries coming into the game too.
Yeah, Trey Cobb is back this week. We held him out for precautionary reasons. Cam Peoples is fine, and Christian Wells was walking yesterday, which is a good sign. He'll see a doctor today, but I expect everyone to be back healthy by Tuesday or Wednesday and play on Saturday.
Coach, you talked about your effectiveness on 3rd and 4th down. Let's look at 1st and 2nd down. There was a pretty good clip there in the early going where you were getting 1st down to 1st down or 2nd down to 1st down. Talk about what you've seen out of your offense on those 2 downs, if you will.
I think Coach Bart Bay and the offensive staff have done a great job of really putting ourselves in position to convert on downs. And I think to be good on third down, you have to be good on first and second down. And we're getting those manageable positions. And if you go back to the game, that probably one play I'd take back is the 4th and 2. Instead of kicking a field goal, I'd probably go for the 2 yards, because I think touchdowns matter. And field goals, as you saw Saturday, they weren't going to win the football game. But, Kevin's done a great job. Our whole staff is, be good on first down so you can be good on third and fourth.
Coach, you talked about the national attention that the program's getting. You guys got 70-plus votes in the AP rankings this week. Not sure how much that really means to you guys, but to see that so many other people are finally kind of recognizing how good this program is and has been. Just what does that number kind of mean to you? That's 77, I think it was, votes in the AP poll this week?
That's nice. Man, I haven't had a chance to look at any AP votes. I know that we're part of the voting process, and it's good that people see what kind of program we have. And that goes back to give all the players the credit for what they do. But week in, week out, if you're not ready to play, then if you don't win, it don't matter. So, again, our goal is to go 1-0 this week versus a very good James Madison football team.
You finally have a more normal week, no plane logistic issues, no college game day. How much do you think that will kind of just benefit this team this week, having a little bit more normalcy?
Well, I think getting back to a little bit of normalcy would be great for us. But we're not the only team that's had a plane issue or got home late in the morning from an away game. But it's good to be back at home again. I mean, this is this 3 games run we're ready to have versus Troy and James Madison, the Citadel, is going to be good for us to kind of reset ourselves in some ways and have some familiarity with where you're going to eat, where you're going to sleep, what the plans are for the week. Should pay dividends for our players.
Last question from me. You touched on it in your opening statement, but just the challenges that a James Madison team poses for you guys.
Huge challenge for us. I mean, I speak for their team in a whole. I mean, especially their defense. That's where I watched the most of. And if a team's up 7 yards rushing per game, 10 yards rushing per game, that's alarming. That's first in the nation, and they're giving up 7 points per game, I believe, is what it is. And they played a really good middle team and a Norfolk State football team. So we have challenges on offense, and the defense. They give you some personnel mismatches. They get the quarterback into the running game. They get what we call 12 personnel. It's 2 receivers, 2 tight ends, and play big boy football. And we have to do the best job we have all year long this week to make sure we're in the right gaps, we're fitting it right, we tackle well in space, because there's going to be some times that we'll have some mismatches, and we have to do a really good job of communicating on the sideline, our coaches, and just sprinting the football. I think that will help out a bunch, is make sure we're getting 11 halves of the football and tackling well.
Certainly the Sun Belt has a lot of programs that succeeded at the FCS level and have done well at the FBS level. When you scout or analyze James Madison, do you even look at a divide, or do you watch film and you see a good football team, or do you even kind of compartmentalize that in any way?
No, there's no divide. If you watch the tape from the last 3 years since he's been there, or wherever Holland coach has been there, they've had a great football program, and they play for championships, and they know how to win. They expect to win. So this was a game that was on my calendar as one of the toughest games we had all season, and we'll do our very best to have a chance to win on Saturday.
Coach, you talked a little bit about this in your presser on Saturday, that your staff had to get to work, the plane delays, you came right in. Just address that a little bit, how they embraced lack of sleep, the big win, the national attention, game day coming, and how your staff just sort of boxed all that out with the little sleep, a little time seeing their family, and got to work on Troy.
Yeah, that's what we do as a coaching staff. You have to work till the job gets done. And again, we got back at 10:30. I believe we came in, we showered and went straight to work. We had to grade the tape. We graded the tape on the plane, and then we put it to bed as soon as we got here and went back to working on Troy. But those were some late nights. You lose basically a day in game planning, and we were here late, here in the morning time. But and that's college football. You have to do what you have to do to get your team prepared to play. And I think our coaches did a fantastic job of doing that last week.
Troy threw the ball around a lot. I know JMU's a good balance, but they've got talented receivers. What do you need to see out of your secondary to maybe improve upon this week?
Well, we have to get lined up right, and they had a lot of issues to do with it. And then when we bring 4 or 5 rushers, we have to hit home. I think we hit the quarterback 10 times, I believe, is what it was. And if we do it the right way, some of those throws don't get thrown. It's a sack, or he's going to throw his check down, and we can rally the football and make a play. But just get lined up right, be gap sound, and get 11 halves to the football. And that's something we have to get improved this week.
It looked like against Troy that the slant was there most of the day, at least that's the way it looked from the press box. Was that by design? Was that Chase going through his check down process and finding those guys open? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, it's through game plan. If we see a certain play or a mismatch that we can take advantage of, we're going to try to do that. And again, that defense, Coach Woods from Troy, we know that defense. That's come from Nate Woody, who was here for a long time, and basically the same defense we face every single week. And we know there's some things you can take advantage of, and we try to do that. We probably should have done more of it.
And lastly, do you know Coach Signetti or folks on his staff, and just talk about your crossing paths with any of them?
Right, well, his dad was the head football coach at West Virginia University back in the day, and I've met him several times. I wouldn't say we're close acquaintances, we're friends, and just a lot of respect for him, what he's done, and from Elon and going back to James Madison. I mean, every team he plays, they have that toughness to them, and they play with grit, and they grind it out on you. So it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game for our conference. It's going to be a great game for college football. We just need all of that nation to show up. Another sold-out crowd. We need to have this place rocking on Saturday afternoon.